So in this lesson, I'm going to work through example 2 with a little bit of a prelude that you see right up top. The neat thing about the binomial theorem, or the power in the binomial theorem, comes from the fact that I can use this for any value of a and b. I mean, that's the simplest incarnation, a plus b to the 6th, x plus y to the 12th, so on and so forth. But I can do it and handle it with more complicated variations of a and b. And that's what example 2 does. When I have more complicated versions, what I like to do is, and I didn't need to do it here, but for each value, I'll go ahead and put some parentheses around it just for safety's sake. Just for safety's sake, I will do that. And let's work with this example that we see down here. I'm going to be asked to expand 3x plus 2y to the 5th power. N equals 5. I should expect 6 terms. It's not a plus b anymore. It's 3x plus 2y. I'm going to let a equal 3x, b equal 2y, and I'm going to stick to my tried and true pattern. So let's get started. First things first, n is 5. My first term is 5, 0. Now it's a to the 5th, b to the 0 power is what should happen in this first term. Well, my value of b is 2y, and it should be to the 0 power, so to speak. So I'm going to write it just so we can see the fill-in. What do I need to have my two exponents add up to? They need to add up to 5. My term is 3x. It's going to be 3x, that whole thing to the 5th power. Remember, this is a binomial coefficient, your first piece. Again, they all look like they kind of have parentheses. Just remember, that's a binomial coefficient that you're seeing there because of the way the numbers are written. Can I build the rest of the terms now? Sure, and I can just follow the rule that I have for the expansion. Plus 5, 1, 3x to the what power? 4th. 2y to the 1st, or just 2y. Next, plus 5, 2, 3x cubed, 2y, remember in parentheses because it's the whole thing that needs to be, in this case, squared. Let's keep rolling. Sorry if I have to move the paper here. Plus 5, 3, 3x squared, 2y cubed, plus 5, 4, 3x, 2y to the 4th. Last term, plus 5, 5, there's my combination. 3x to the 0 just becomes a 1. 2y, that whole animal, to the 5th. There we go. So I got my pieces. Let's do a little bit of work. We'll kind of build bit by bit here to get to our final answer. So a little bit of number crunching that we have to do. That's okay. A 5, 0 becomes 1. 2y to the 0 becomes 1. So the only term I have to worry about with my first piece is that 3x to the 5th. If I go to my calculator, 3 to the 5th is 243. My first term is 243 x to the 5th. Oops, sorry. Okay, next term. A 5, 1. Go back to the triangle, but let our calculator help us. That's a 5. 3x to the 4th. Well, 3 to the 4th happens to be 81. X to the 4th. I just kind of kept my numbers separate for a moment because I'm going to wind up multiplying them together. And then 2y. So a little bit ugly. I mean, I don't have to do it quite this way, but I like to keep parentheses now just around my numbers, let my variables float, because I'm going to need to consolidate them. And for that matter, let me go ahead and drop down and do that as I'm working here. First term is fine. 5 times 81, my calculator tells me it's 405, times 2, 910. X to the 4th, y. Let's keep chugging along. A 5, 2 becomes a 10. 3x cubed becomes, 3 cubed is 27. 27 x cubed. Again, do you need these parentheses? No, but it just helps me again as I'm multiplying to work this through. And 2y times 2y squared is 4y squared. All right, let me work with this one just to save the simplification as I'm walking across. 10 times 27 is 270, times 4 is 1,080, x cubed, y squared. Next term, a 5, 3, that's 10. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 2y cubed becomes 8y cubed. Great. 10 times 9 happens to be 90 times 8 happens to be 720. 720 x squared y cubed plus a 5 4 becomes a 5. 5 times 3x 2y raised to the fourth power. 2 to the fourth power is 16. Y to the fourth. Okay, 5 times 3 is 15. 15 times 16 turns out to be 240. 240x y to the fourth. Last term, 5 just becomes 1. 2y raised to the fifth power. That becomes 2 to the fifth is 32 plus 32y to the fifth. I don't have any other numbers to multiply, so I was able to just drop right down to get my last piece as opposed to writing it here and bringing it down. Do I have a final answer? I most certainly do. So there's your structure for doing these problems. They're not that bad. Yes, admittedly, they're complicated, but the numbers, if you follow the pattern, the answer should just kind of fall naturally out. You have to be careful, certainly, but the numbers, even though they're somewhat big, you got your calculator, you can handle that. Remember, when you're working these, like when it's 3x to the fifth, don't write that as 3x to the fifth as your final answer. Remember, you have to take 3 and take it to the fifth power, along with x to the fifth power. So you're going to get 243x to the fifth as the correct expansion of 3x to the fifth. There you go.